My name is Crystal Harrison, and I'm the Vice President of Product Strategy for Pivot 3. And today I'm going to be talking about our Hyperconverged platforms and the sales tools that are available to you to use. Pivot 3's Hyperconverged solutions are built on x86 architecture, and they are designed and pre-engineered to be able to optimize to meet business needs. And we've prepackaged some of these into bundles that are very easy for you to sell as a channel community. We're going to go through that today. When you look at our two product lines, they're optimized by use case. Our Pivot 3 Acuity product line is squarely aimed at the data center. It's optimized to be able to meet the workloads that you see that are typical within a data center. It's optimized for the performance that is needed for critical applications, tier 1 applications, latency sensitive applications. And then our VStack product line is optimized for video surveillance and all the different workloads that come along with that, whether it is being able to deliver video on any device or being able to integrate with the different video management systems that are out there and to be able to handle the massive amounts of volume of data ingest that come from a video surveillance environment. When you look at our platforms that we offer today within the portfolio, on the Acuity stack, this is our data center focused hyperconverged infrastructure. You'll see that we have the X5 series, and those come in an all-flash flavor and they come in a hybrid flavor. And they're generally based on 2U rack mount servers based on Dell or Lenovo. When you come over to the VStack software platform, you'll see that it comes in 1U and 2U rack mount servers and comes in and also comes in a blade form factor running on the Dell FX2 chassis. In the 2U rack mount servers, you'll see that we have a flash offering, we have a hybrid offering, we have a watch and a virtual server and storage offering. So there are some data center applications that the VStack product line can work within, and we're going to go through those models here in a minute. The big difference between the two product lines is not within the hardware, it's mostly within the software stack. So if you look here across the different features that are supported, you can see that Acuity has a lot of the data center focused capabilities that most people expect. Things like data reduction, snapshotting and cloning, and those type of capabilities that people are used to having in the data center today. These are also functions and features that don't necessarily or are not necessarily needed in the video surveillance space. And that's why you'll find that they are not features that are enabled in VStack today. So now let's get into the platforms. First, we're going to start with Acuity X5 series nodes. You'll notice that there are a 6000 series and a 2000 series. And within the 6000 series, that is our all-flash nodes. So these have NVMe as well as spinning SSD drives in them. And the difference between a 6500 and a 6000 are nodes that have NVMe and nodes that do not. So a node with an NVMe is an NVMe card is a 6500. We call these accelerator nodes. And these accelerator nodes can be mixed and matched with non-accelerator nodes within a cluster. When you come over to the 2000 series, the difference are the drives. Instead of them being SSDs, these have a pair of SSDs and spinning hard drives for a multi-tier architecture. And within these nodes, again, the 2500 are the nodes, the accelerator nodes that have NVMe, and the 2000 series are the nodes that do not have NVMe. As you look across the portfolio, you'll see that we've standardized on dual 18-core CPUs for all of the platforms. That's per node. And within a single cluster, you can have, on our flash nodes, you can have 16 nodes in a cluster. And within our hybrid nodes, you can have 12 nodes in a cluster. Now I want to make sure and point out that this is within a single cluster. Within a Pivot 3 domain, you can have multiple clusters side by side and have all of those managed from one infrastructure. So from one management domain. And virtual machines and applications can live across all of these clusters. As you come down, you can see per node, you can have up to 1.5 terabytes of memory across the whole portfolio. And you'll see our NVMe sizes vary depending on the model that you select. If you're an all flash, it's set at a 1.6 terabyte NVMe card per node. If you're in a hybrid, it could vary all the way up to 3.2 terabytes of NVMe per node. Our node sizes vary. This talks about the total raw capacity within the nodes. You can see that from a flash perspective, our largest node size is a 30.7 terabyte SSD node. And our largest node today on the hybrids are a 48 terabyte node. These nodes, accelerated and non-accelerated, can all have graphics cards within them, as well as Teradici PC over IP cards. And there's varying network depending on whether it's an accelerated node or a non-accelerated node. Within the VStack line, again, it runs on very similar hardware, the same 2U rack mount servers. The main differences are you have, in our all flash nodes, you have the same 16 nodes, and the hybrids are the same 12 node limitation for the cluster size. But you see that you have some different choices within the CPU stack. The edge office is aimed at our remote office, branch office solutions. And within the edge office, those are 1U servers, and they'll scale up to 6 nodes per server. It has a single 4-core CPU, and you can have up to 64 gigs of memory per node. And those come in sizes from 1.6 terabytes per node to 6.4 terabytes per node. The all flash is when you get, it's more similar to what you would see in Acuity, where you can have up to 1.5 terabytes of memory. You have that same 30.7 terabytes of node capacity. And you have the ability to add storage-only nodes. So if a customer wants to add compute and storage, you would add a flash node. If they just needed to add capacity only and didn't need additional compute, you could add a capacity-only node to that cluster, and it will join it and be part of that cluster. You just won't be able to run VMs on that. Again, it can have the same graphics cards. Hybrids. The big difference here is the ability to choose different CPUs. You can have a dual 10-core CPU, or you can have a dual 18-core CPU. You have the ability to go up to 160 terabytes in a 2U form factor. So the densest HCI platforms in the industry. Again, you can add graphics cards to that. And then for data centers where they're very space constrained, where you're looking to do virtual desktops is a great solution for the Dell FX2. When I mentioned before about being able to do 3,400 desktops in 18U, that was on an FX2 platform, which can have up to 16 nodes. But if you look at the chassis, it's a 2U chassis with 4 nodes in it. And each of those nodes can have 3.2 or 6.4 terabytes of capacity. And you can have up to 768 gigs of memory per node in that system. Now, it doesn't support graphics cards, but it can be mixed and matched with other nodes within the system that might need to have graphics cards. When we look at our surveillance optimized product line, again, built on that same 2U rack mount server, you can have compute nodes that range the same capacities as we saw before on the HCI portfolio. They range from 12 terabytes to 160 terabytes. Same cluster node size. You can have 1.9 petabytes of capacity in a single cluster. These, the Watch product line is probably our primary product that we sell in the surveillance space. And you can have a single or a dual 10-core CPU with memory ranging from 32 gig to 384 gig. Now with that, what we see in video surveillance solutions a lot is taking and mixing watches with data. So much like I talked about before in the previous slide where you had capacity-only nodes, we do the same thing in video surveillance. When we size a video surveillance opportunity, we look at how much ingest we're going to have and how much that will determine how much compute that we need to have. And then once we have determined that, then we determine how much retention the customer needs. And a lot of times that retention is just archival data that's going to be kept around for a long time. So we will often mix and match datas and watches together in a video surveillance solution. And again, it matches with the capacity sizes as well as the overall capacity. The main difference is we don't need as big of a CPU, so it comes with a single 6-core CPU. We don't need as much memory. Generally, these will be 16 to 32 gigs of memory because you're not running applications on these nodes. Now, to add to that, sometimes we'll have customers who have more video intensive environments that might be doing some facial recognition or license plate recognition, some sort of analytics against the data that they're storing, collecting, and ingesting. So we will have customers that will mix in our trend systems with these watches and these datas. And the primary difference is you can see that it has dual 18-core CPUs, and you can have more memory on these for those more CPU intensive and memory intensive analytics applications that might run on those nodes. And all of these can be mixed and matched together. Now, our VSS or virtual security systems nodes it's a very unique solution for our video surveillance customers. And with our VSS, we're able to deliver video content onto any device, anywhere, at any time. And VSS is what makes that possible. We're running a virtual desktop environment against their video surveillance solution to be able to deliver that content out to customers' endpoints. And so, again, that same 2U rack mount server, but we get higher CPU and memory that's needed for that virtual desktop infrastructure. And then our Edge Protect is our 1U offering that is focused on, think about retail locations or a toll road where you want to have a stack of infrastructure that can collect video locally. So this is more of a remote office, branch office play, again built on a 1U platform. And the node sizes go from 4 terabytes to 32 terabytes in size. It can scale up to 192 terabytes into a single cluster. And again, that single 4-core processor and up to 64 gigs of memory. This is ideally built and suited for those small remote locations that need to collect, you maybe have 50 or 100 cameras and need to be able to collect that data and store it locally. And then we have our video archiver, which is built for long-term retention. This is a 4U 480 terabyte appliance, and you can stack an unlimited number of these together. And this is ideally suited for customers who have maybe regulatory compliance, where they're required to keep and maintain video for a long amount of time. Likelihood of them ever accessing it again is probably very low, but some law or regulation mandates that they keep it. And video can grow to multiple petabytes of capacity when you have very long retention times. So our video archiver is designed to be able to fit in those environments where you would ingest your cameras onto something like a watch, and then we would archive it off to our video archivers. Very dense, cheap, and deep storage for long-term retrieval. We also like to make buying our platforms very easy, so you'll see that we have a number of starter pack bundles, both for Acuity as well as our Edge Protect starter packs. We just talked about that Edge Protect as our remote office, branch office. So there are 3 node bundles that come at a very low price point. Everything is bundled in, including 3 years of support, on-site installation, and it has a suggested selling price of 50% off list, allowing you to make still very rich margins on that at the same time. But it's very easy to sell. It's a single part number, and it makes sizing and getting that out the door to your customers extremely easy. So that's a review today of all of our platforms. Thank you for your time.